Early July 2014. Somewhere online. A new marketplace appears on the dark web. It has no name recognition, no reputation, no history. A single administrator is running it from an unknown location. He calls himself Alpha02. Within 3 years, he will build the largest criminal marketplace in the history of the internet. Within 3 years and 1 week, he will be dead. This is how AlphaBay rose and fell, and why it didn't stay down. The dark web is not a place. It is a layer. Built on top of the regular internet but inaccessible through a standard browser, it requires specific software to enter, most commonly the Tor network, which routes traffic through a series of encrypted relays, making the origin of any connection extremely difficult to trace. The promise of anonymity attracted two kinds of people from the beginning: those with something to hide from governments, and those with something to sell that governments had made illegal. By the early 2000s, both populations were growing rapidly. Bitcoin gave them a payment system no bank controlled. The dark web gave them a storefront. The original storefront was the Silk Road. It launched in February 2011 on a server Ross Ulbricht operated under the name Dread Pirate Roberts. At its peak, it had over 100,000 customers buying primarily drugs. In October 2013, the FBI arrested Ulbricht in a San Francisco public library, his laptop open and logged in. He received a life sentence. The Silk Road went offline. The business model survived. Within 35 days, a successor called Silk Road 2.0 was live. It lasted less than a year before law enforcement shut it down. Evolution, the next major platform, ran a so-called exit scam. Its operators vanished with millions in customer funds held in escrow. Agora, another platform, voluntarily went offline in 2015 when its operators decided the heat was too high. Every closure created a vacuum. Every vacuum was filled. The market was too profitable to die. Into this environment, in July 2014, came AlphaBay. Its founder was Alexandre Cazes, a 25-year-old Canadian software developer living in Bangkok. He was born in Trois-Rivières, Quebec. He had taught himself to code as a teenager. By his mid-20s, he was running the most sophisticated criminal marketplace the dark web had ever seen, worth an estimated $23 million in personal assets, houses, cars, cryptocurrency, accumulated over less than 3 years of operation. AlphaBay started small, stolen credit card data only. Then it expanded. Drugs, weapons, malware, counterfeit currency, money laundering services. A few categories were explicitly prohibited: child abuse material, hit contracts, data stolen from Russian banks. The Russian bank prohibition was almost certainly strategic. Cazes likely wanted to avoid attracting the attention of Russian law enforcement agencies, or wanted investigators to assume the platform was Russian operated. The platform worked like Amazon: search functions, seller ratings, buyer reviews, dispute resolution, customer service. By 2016, AlphaBay had more than 40,000 vendors and 200,000 registered users. By 2017, it had over 300,000 listings and was processing more than $500,000 in sales every single day. Cazes was taking between 2 and 4% of every transaction. The money was moving through Bitcoin, Monero, and Ethereum, all chosen for their varying degrees of transactional anonymity. Cazes was careful. He operated behind layers of encryption, never using his real identity online, never conducting business from traceable accounts. He had retreated from day-to-day operations entirely, renaming himself admin and communicating only through a representative called the Snake. To everyone on the dark web, Alpha02 was a ghost. He had made one mistake. In the early days of AlphaBay, every new user who registered received a welcome email. The sender's email address was visible in the metadata of those first emails. It was pimp_alex_81@hotmail.com. The error was corrected almost immediately, but one of those early emails survived. In December 2016, a DEA agent named Robert Miller, working at his desk in Fresno, California, received an anonymous tip. The tipster had kept one of those original welcome emails. The address led investigators to a French-language social media profile for an Alexandre from Trois-Rivières. It led to a LinkedIn profile for a freelance software developer. It led to a Facebook page showing his Thai fiancé. It led to Bangkok. Thai authorities identified 3 properties owned by Cazes in the city: a gated community residence, a bachelor apartment, a $3 million mansion on the outskirts. Investigators began surveilling him. They watched his routes. They tracked his iPhone. They noted his preference for driving a Lamborghini through Bangkok traffic. In June 2017, several American agents sitting in the lounge of a Bangkok hotel watched Cazes walk in, sit at a nearby table, and conduct a business dinner entirely unaware of who was watching him. They were weeks from the arrest. The operation that finally closed AlphaBay was not designed merely to arrest one man. It was designed to close 2 markets simultaneously and turn one of them into a trap. The FBI and DEA coordinated with law enforcement from 7 countries under the name Operation Bayonet. The key component was the Hansa market, AlphaBay's largest European competitor, then growing rapidly. Dutch investigators had already located and quietly taken control of the Hansa servers. They were running the platform covertly, collecting evidence on thousands of buyers and sellers, waiting. The plan was to take down AlphaBay first, watch the displaced customers flood into Hansa, and then shut Hansa down too, with a full record of every transaction made during the migration. On July 5, 2017, a Royal Thai police agent drove a gray Toyota Camry down a dead-end street toward Cazes' house, told the security guard she had taken a wrong turn, and deliberately drove into his front gate. The noise was designed to bring Cazes outside quickly, before he could lock or shut down his devices. He came out. He was arrested. His laptop was in the bedroom, logged into the AlphaBay servers. Investigators had his passwords within minutes. On July 12th, 1 week after his arrest, Alexandre Cazes was found dead in his cell. He had taken his own life. He was 26 years old. The shutdown of AlphaBay was kept secret for 2 weeks. With AlphaBay suddenly offline and no explanation given, no announcement, no exit scam confirmed, users assumed the worst and migrated in enormous numbers to Hansa. The Dutch collected evidence on the flood of new arrivals for 25 days. On July 20th, 2017, both platforms were announced simultaneously shut down by the US Department of Justice. It was the largest coordinated takedown of dark web markets in history. It lasted about 3 months. By October 2017, new markets had absorbed the displaced buyers and sellers. By 2021, the Russian platform Hydra had grown to more than twice the scale AlphaBay had ever reached. Hydra was shut down by German and American authorities in April 2022, one of the largest seizures of cryptocurrency in law enforcement history. By then, AlphaBay was already back. In August 2021, 4 years after Cazes died in a Bangkok cell, AlphaBay relaunched. The administrator was the Snake, the same representative Cazes had used to insulate himself from the platform's operations in the final months before his arrest. The Snake had never been caught. He had never been identified. He had waited. And then, he rebuilt. As of the time this video was made, AlphaBay is operational. The Snake is running it. His identity remains unknown to law enforcement. The platform that the FBI, DEA, and the law enforcement agencies of 7 countries spent years dismantling is accepting new registrations. The dark web did not get smaller after Operation Bayonet. It got larger. The markets that replaced AlphaBay and Hansa learned from their predecessors' mistakes. They decentralized. They reduced the amount of cryptocurrency held in escrow at any one time. They implemented better operational security. They read the case files and updated their procedures. Every major takedown has been followed by a market that was harder to take down. Every arrest has produced a successor who studied what went wrong. The snake studied what went wrong. He watched his partner die in custody. He disappeared for 4 years. He came back with the same name, the same platform, and one fewer mistake. The site is still up.
If you found this story insightful, unsettling, or worth remembering, support the channel by liking this video. Share it with someone who appreciates true stories, history, and the hidden details behind major world events. And if you enjoy deep dive documentaries like this, subscribe and turn on notifications by selecting all so you never miss our next upload. New stories are coming soon. We'll see you in the next one.